day you will be called to fight for what you will be called to fight what is wrong and give yourself to what is right. Every day you must fight to be good stewards of the blessings that you've been given. Every day you must identify the places where you must say no and the places where you must say yes. Every day you are called to love each other in ways that are practical and specific. Every day you must live with an open heart, open eyes and an open heart. Every day you must fight the things that distract you from loving, serving, and nurturing one another. Every day you will need to act in a sacrificial love towards one another, even though you're busy or tired. Every day you must work to protect the unity, understand, and love of your marriage. Every day, in some way, you are going to be called to love when the other person doesn't deserve it. Every day you are called to give the same grace that God has given to you and to your spouse. Every day you must be motivated not only by your own self-interest, but also by the interests of your spouse. Every day, you are called to have a myriad of conversations in a way that gives grace and builds up one another. You need to look for ways to communicate encouragement, appreciation, and respect to one another. Every day, you are called to lay something down in order to capture an opportunity to love. You think you're up to the task? I didn't think so either, honestly. I mean, I don't think anybody's up to that task, right? Like, just reading that list was a marathon in itself. So what's the point then? Like, why are we wasting our time with an unobtainable list? It seems like a massive waste if you know that you can't achieve these things on a daily basis. But I think that's the point, though, right? It's to demonstrate the unobtainable. Paul David Tripp, the author of these marriage reminders in chapter 16 of his book, What Did You Expect?, wrote these biblical truths down as a guide. And I don't think he ever designed them or intended them to be a stringent set of rules that needed to be followed. I think his intentions instead were for you to set your sights towards clarifying what will help make your marriage joyful and fruitful and pleasing to the Lord. It is something that you will be successful at times, and you always know, though, that there are storms on the horizon. The funny thing is when we look at this list, we know that there's simplicity in the message, and the heart of what it's trying to convey is something deeper. It's the type of truth that can only be found in something that's already complete. Nobody in their right mind would be able to look at any one of those examples that we just listed off and say to themselves truthfully, you know, if I just dabbled in the seductive wooing, if I just dabbled in some of the temptations of life and started recording all the things that annoy me about my spouse, that things are going to turn out peachy. There is a truth found in these ideas that extends past just common sense and some sort of abstract moral relativism. There is something inherent, written on the hearts of all of us that know these things to be true. And I think that's the heart of the message that I wanted to share with you this morning. You're about to join in a horizontal relationship. And those are your words. Horizontal relationships, for those of you who don't know, are earthly relationships. So the relationships we have with family, with friends, with people we know and we don't know. And I think the interesting thing about marriage is it might be the most important horizontal relationship that we have here as man. And because of this importance of marriage, I think most people assume that marriage has this ability to fulfill you or to complete you in some way. That all the two of you need to do is love and hold on for the ride and everything's going to turn out great. But those are the lies of Disney movies. The reality is that no horizontal relationship here on earth has the power to be your only hope, to fulfill all of your heart's longings. But marriage is a taste. The overwhelming love that you feel for each other in this moment, right here, right now, is the reason why so many of us do this, right? Throughout time, we have all come to this place and desired in some way to find the one. And in the Bible, there are two human relationships that are fundamentally pointing to God. One of them is the love of a man for his wife. It is powerful, but it's still undeniably human and thus full of faults and failures. And so as so many marriages are broken in the reality of finding your partner human, selfish, incompatible, and ultimately strangely unfulfilling, understand that you were meant to fulfill a picture that can only be found in loving Christ. If you choose to put your faith in each other, to make the assumption that the other can fulfill you, and that you can be completed by your spouse, you will find that you will inevitably come up longing for something. Many times this ends in tragedy for marriages. But if we choose to recognize a vertical relationship first, understanding that the only person who can truly complete us is Christ Jesus, and prioritize that first and foremost in our lives, the need for completion from any other relationship that's horizontal here on earth is no longer necessary. I was going to hold up a Bible here. I even had a note to do that, but I forgot to bring a Bible up with me, so I apologize. So if I had a Bible, I would say this too is often viewed as a list of do's and don'ts. Tragically, the world has misrepresented the true message that is at the heart behind the Bible. The mistake that the world makes is looking at this book and seeing a list of things. And more tragically than that, than our first list, is that when eventually we find out that we can't live up to those expectations, we're left hollow. And here, I think, is the most important point of truth that I wanted to share. The expectations of the Bible are there to demonstrate that we can't. They were never meant to wholly be upheld, but instead to show us that we are in need of a relationship that is far greater than any here on earth. When we come to a place that we recognize that we can't, that we are in need of a partner who is able to fulfill the void in us, to walk through the hardships of life with us, to go before us, to forgive us of our failures, and to lead us to greener pastures, this relationship can only be found in Jesus Christ. Through this relationship, all others are molded and shaped. And through this understanding, Joel and Peggy will be able to be a living metaphor of what life is, of what love is, and it's far greater than anything that they could ever achieve on their own. So Joel and Peggy, I implore you in front of all of these witnesses today to make Jesus first in your life. In all things, put him before each other. Make him your first delight. If you prioritize the vertical over the horizontal, you will achieve what so many marriages fail in. And remember, when you look back on your list and you recognize that you may have missed 1 or 2 or 5, or maybe all of them that day, you will find the Lord God with open arms redeeming and teaching forgiveness. So now, Joel and Peggy would like to dedicate their first act as a married couple in communion to the Lord.
The Lord made man and woman. He began a covenant relationship.
I was given clear direction that the next part of the ceremony was to be me telling some sort of silly anecdotes and stories about Joel and Peggy, and to do that in some capacity that is like my mat thing, and I'm still very confused at what that means. I asked a few people, like, what is my mat thing? And they're like, that thing. And I'm like, I don't actually know what you're talking about. But if there is a place where I could begin, though, I think it would be the first time I headed out to Colorado to visit Joel in person. We had talked a few times on the telephone. He seemed to be a pretty intense guy in our conversations, but I was certain it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. That was until I got the itinerary, which I'm not exaggerating, was about 14 pages.
Oh, come on.
Down to the half-hour increment, full paragraphs of information. I don't come from the type of family that makes itineraries, so this was new to me. Actually, the Cross family were kind of like wisps, really, just kind of floating throughout life. If we get to it, that's great. And if we don't get to it, that's just more time to sit and relax. That is not how Joel handles things. It's been 14 years now that I've known Joel, and I'm beginning to sense a theme in what Joel finds important in life, and it's probably organization. When I met Peggy, it was much of the same, honestly. Both Joel and Peggy had made plans to come out and visit our new house. We just bought this, it's kind of like a little farm, but when we first bought it, it didn't seem like it was going to be a massive undertaking, but as you move in, you begin to find that it was more of a project than maybe you thought it was going to be. And I think they knew it was going to be maybe more of a project than we thought it was going to be as well. And so they came out, they wanted to provide us with a little help, and Peggy wanted to come and meet Michelle and my family. So my first interaction with Peggy, honestly, we met at a Chipotle, and I think we did this because all good things really begin with a burrito the size of a small child. I said, we said our hellos, and Peggy instantly jumped into action. She was grabbing forks, chairs, napkins. She was chasing out children, which is appropriate, honestly, because like her and Gilbert are like best buds now. She was legitimately up more than she was sitting, and the only words that really come to mind during all of this is complete servanthood, and I really mean that, which is not my typical interaction at Chipotle. If I wanted that type of service, I would have just gone across the street to Chick-fil-A because it's a pleasure. And from that point on, for the rest of the weekend, she was just nonstop. Seriously, the only person that has as much energy, passion, vigor for life as her is my 5-year-old son, Gilbert, and they played together the entire time, which I find appropriate. I think what's funny about all of this, though, is what I've learned about them as a couple is they're both doers. They don't leave a minute unchecked in their lives, and if something needs done, like hypothetically a light switch in your master bathroom that gets kind of stuck halfway between on and off and technically works, but it's really just more of an annoyance to your father-in-law, well, by golly, you will get that light switch fixed, and you will be spending hours at Home Depot making sure you get the right switch, talking to the right people to get that sucker done. And we did. And when I think about it, what this marriage is really producing is a power couple. I think the amount of energy, attention to detail, passion for what you do, attention to detail, resiliency, attention to detail, organization, and attention to detail can seriously make you guys unstoppable. A perfect example of this was yesterday morning. We were setting up. Joel asked Rob if he had a tape measure to make sure that the bales that you are currently sitting on are exactly 2 feet apart. So just know if you thought those suckers were off 1/4 of an inch, you were wrong. Joel had that covered.
Now clarify that was a joke.
I didn't know actually whether it was a joke or not. Joel says he was joking. It's debate.
I saw him do it.
Oh, come
It's
on. Liars everywhere.
But seriously, as I watch Joel and Peggy blitzing my home repairs, organizing my chaotic life, I think to myself, if you two can stand together, use your passion and energy towards serving the Lord and serving others, there is honestly nothing that is going to stop you guys. And though the rest of the world doesn't share in your eagle eye for detail and may be annoyed at the tediousness of moving a tent stake 3.5 inches to the right, only to move it back 1.5 inches to the left, then pulling up all the tent stakes and resetting up the tent, this may or may not be a real world example. We all know that your tenacity is unstoppable. And I want to encourage the both of you that the kingdom needs builders like you. I'm excited to see what you're both able to do and accomplish in your new marriage. So now, with what I hope was an encouragement, I would like to invite the couple to share in their own personalized vows with one another. I have it, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to let Joel start. Here you go. I didn't lose it.
Thank you.
All right. So I need the mic.
Oh, it's my fault.
There you go.
Gotcha.
All right. Had no idea I was going to get roasted at my own wedding. Would not have asked him to do it. So I was going to ad-lib this, but I'm just going to go with the script. So Peggy, today I'll do my best to describe the impossible, and I just really feel like trying to describe what's happened over the last 5 months, what God has done in our lives to bring us together, to describe you in a way that people can really understand the Peggy that I've seen and that I love and that I appreciate is like next to impossible. But I'm going to try to put it into words the best I can, because Like, first of all, how do I describe the incredible reverence and awe and gratitude that I feel towards God for bringing you into my life? So less than 5 months ago, I was at a complete bottom, had been looking and looking, trying to find a life mate to share life with for the rest of my life. And just one struggle after another. Somebody that either loved the Lord but didn't, their idea of adventure was watching a movie. and or somebody that did like to do all the things that we enjoy doing with biking and hiking and camping and all those things, but didn't love the Lord, or their emotional makeup didn't work with me or whatever, and was at the complete bottom. And out of nowhere, I ended up in Crested Butte on a weekend when I wasn't even supposed to be there. I got rescheduled from another trip and ended up sleeping in, and then not sleeping in and getting bored and deciding to go ahead and ski earlier than I had expected to that day, and ended up on a line. And next thing I know, I'm on a lift with you, and one thing leads to another. And when you go back, if you guys knew the full story, and some of you do, it's just, there's no doubt it was God orchestrating the entire thing. And so I'm just blown away by God's love for me and for both of us. He brought me a woman who is kind, is gracious, is sacrificial, as Matt described, who will work her tail end off for anybody, for any need, is encouraging always, and is always optimistic, and I'm blown away by how gracious and kind God was. The church that we go to uses an expression that I really like, and they say, we're just a bunch of imperfect people trying to pursue a perfect God. Well, that's me. I've made lots of mistakes in my life, and there are many words and actions that I'd love to take back. But today I feel like God is God of second chances, and here's my promise to you. And this kind of ties into what Matt was sharing. Every day I promise to love you imperfectly. Every day I will seek to put your needs above my own and trust God to meet my needs, and I'll do it imperfectly. I'll still say and do dumb things. My pride and stubbornness are still going to get in the way. Now stop it. But I will keep pursuing a relationship with a God who is perfect in all ways and who loves me despite my shortcomings, and keep trusting in Him to mold me into the man and the husband that He wants me to be. So, honey, here's my vow to you today. I'm going to love you imperfectly forever.
So it's funny that you end with forever, because today I use an acrostic of forever, where each one of the letters goes into something that I promised you as my vows to you, Joel. So F, I will be faithful and loyal to you. O, no matter what this world brings, each day I will be optimistically patient, have an open heart and mind. I'll laugh at all your dad jokes, and I'll be joyful. R, I will respect and honor you and follow your godly leadership. E, every day I will love you unconditionally, selflessly serving you and others. I'm so excited that I get to marry my best friend. We are two who will become strong as we weave ourselves together with God and our family and our friends that are here today, to become this beautiful tapestry that can't be destroyed. V, I value you, and I will affirm your insight and wisdom. You are my handsome knight in shining armor. You're intelligent, you're loyal, you're kind, you're fun, you're perfect in every way. Kind of like Mary Poppins.
No, not true.
E, as long as our bodies will allow us, I'm going to be your exercise and experience partner. I'm going to be there by your side as we ski, bike, hike, camp, snorkel, travel, and take on new adventures I haven't thought of yet. R, I will rejoice that God has brought you into my life that amazing day on the ski lift in Crested Butte to love the rest of my life. You are my compass to guide the way. Literally, I have no compass. You're the missing piece that completes the puzzle in my heart. The joy of my heart as we laugh, live, and love and serve the Lord together. I will love you forever, faithfully.
So Joel, do you take Peggy to be your wedded wife? Do you promise to love, honor, cherish, and protect her? And to be faithful to her as a loving husband, forsaking all others, as long as you both shall live?
Heck yeah.
I'll accept it. Peggy, do you take Joel to be your wedded husband? Do you promise to love, honor, cherish, and respect him? And do you promise to be faithful to him as a loving wife, forsaking all others, as long as you both shall live?
Forever, yes.
Good enough for me. Joel, as you have expressed your intentions to take Peggy as your wife, please repeat after me these vows and covenant. I, Joel, take you, Peggy,
I, Joel, take you, Peggy,
to be my wedded wife.
to be my wedded,
Wife.
Oh. To have and to hold,
to have and to hold,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better or for worse,
for better or for worse,
for richer or for poorer,
for richer or for poorer,
in sickness and in health.
sickness and in health.
I promise to cherish you,
I promise to cherish you,
to love you,
to love you,
to honor and protect you,
to honor and protect you,
till death do us part,
till death do us part,
according to God's holy law.
according to God's holy love.
Peggy, as you have expressed your intentions to take Joel as your husband, please repeat these vows and covenant. I, Peggy, take you, Joel,
I, Peggy, take you, Joel,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband,
to have and to hold,
to have and to hold,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better or for worse,
for better or worse,
for richer for poorer,
for rich or for poor,
in sickness and in health.
in sickness and in health.
I promise to cherish you,
I promise to cherish you,
to love you,
to love you,
to honor and respect you,
to honor and respect you,
till death do us part,
till death do us part,
according to God's holy law.
according to God's holy law.
I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a constant reminder
as a constant reminder
of my unending love.
of my unending love.
I give you this ring
Joel, I give you this ring
as a constant reminder
as a constant reminder
of my unending love.
of my unending love.
So Joel and Peggy, by the power invested in me as a minister of Jesus Christ, and really the power invested in you by the state of Colorado, because again, I really have no official powers to marry you, I pronounce you man and wife. What God has joined together, let no one seek to separate. You may kiss the bride.